Okay guys, today I'm gonna try something different. I have been a bit lazy and haven't written a new blog post in a while. So today I'm just going to code a little bit and record it. Try to get some content, some interesting content in another way that doesn't feel like a chore to me. Maybe if this all goes smoothly, I'll I'll create a bit more videos. Let's just see. So the excuse for this video is to create a simple comparison between a REST service and a gRPC based service. I'm not expecting to get great conclusions about this because we already know what we are expecting. We're expecting the faster gRPC service than a REST based service. So when I say REST over HTTP, which is the most commonly used. So I'm going to benchmark it, although this will be just for the fun of it, because it will not be a very I don't know, a very interesting benchmark. It's just for the ride to write both services and then check them out working. I'm going to do this in .NET Core. So REST APIs is the usual stuff we do, ASP.NET. gRPC service is maybe less well known, but it's not something very new. So basically gRPC is a framework for RPC by Google. You can check out their website at grpc.io, and basically it supports multiple platforms, which is interesting. Multiple platforms that can communicate with each other following this framework. I'm going to use CSharp to communicate with CSharp, but I could make a service in Go and communicate via CSharp with it. But in this case I'm just going CSharp all the way. So basically this is an RPC framework which is expected to have high performance, but I'm not going to talk much about this. There are plenty of resources that will explain this better than me and with a better English than me. So I'm just going to code two types of services, gRPC and REST, and then compare them just for the fun of it. So let's start. I have created the base of the solution, so the REST versus gRPC sample. I've created some folders for the projects I'm going to create. So there will be a benchmark project where we'll use the clients of both services to check out their performance in this very ad hoc environment. The gRPC lib, where I'll put code for server and client of the gRPC that will be shared between the benchmark application to use the client and the server. The server will be on the gRPC service using the server developed in this library, and then a REST service, which will be just an ASP.NET Core application, and the benchmark can talk to it just using HTTP client as usual. So I'm going to start with the gRPC lib because most of the work is here. The rest will be pretty simple, I think. So let's start. Okay, so here I have an empty folder, and I will create a new class library. Okay, so new class lib. Okay, we have a class library. You can see the CS project is here, and now we need some packages. I'll add Google Protobuf, which I forgot to mention, but the Google protobuf is the serialization format that's used by the GRPC framework. So adding it to this project. Okay. Now another package, GRPC itself. And finally, GRPC tools, which is a package that contains tools for generating the code that's going to be needed. We will write a service definition, but then to generate the C# code needed for the client and server, we'll use these tools. So installing. I'm copying these lines from a prepared script I have on another screen. Okay, so now .NET restore. Okay. So here we have Visual Studio Code. So let's start by creating, just to start, okay, GRPC didn't install correctly, apparently. Okay, I forgot this. To add GRPC, we need .NET Standard 1.5. Okay, this should be it. Just another restore. Make sure everything is in place. Okay. Now we're good. So let's start with the service definition. I'm going to create a service.proto. We're going to write the service definition in protobuf language. I don't know, haven't explored it enough to see if there's a convention for these kinds of files, so I'm just going with this. So let's start. For starters, we define the syntax used in this file, which will be proto version 3. Then we use an option to select the namespace, the C# namespace, in which we will have this solution. So I'm getting this here. Generated. This will be the namespace of the generated files for the service definition. Then we define the package. In this case, this might not be that important because I will have everything in one file, but in a more complex service we would have multiple files with a service definition, and we would need to import the messages and the services across the files. So we would define the package, and now we'll define the service itself. So to define the service, we say we want an hello service because hello world all the way. Then we define the operations of the service. Define the input parameters. And the output parameters. Now these are messages, we must define them. So to define the message, we have in this case I don't have anything for the request. We could put something here but I want an empty request. And then in the response it could has easily been empty as well, but let's use it to provide a string with a typical hello world message. Okay, so now we have the service defined. Now we go with this, we can go to the command line and we want to generate the C# files given this service definition. So I'm going to use my note. With this line I'm defining an environment variable that targets the gRPC tools. As I said, the package installed them and they are in the NuGet folder. Now we can, using this environment variable, to simplify the next line, which will generate the C# files. So we're going for the tools path using the proto-C, which is the protobuf compiler. We want to compile the service.proto that's in this folder. We're defining the gRPC out and the C# out. gRPC will generate the file with the service, and the C# out will output the files with the messages. We can define the extension for the generated files. I'm using .g.cs, but the CS would be usual, but I've seen some people using the .g, so I'm using it as well. And then we define the plugin that will be used by the proto compiler to generate the code. In this case we want C#, so we're saying we want the C# plugin. And with this, I guess the two files will be generated, one with the service related code and another with the messages related code. Okay. I'm missing something in my file. In here. Okay. Now we can check out, and here it is. The service. Here we have the definition. Okay, the messages are the messages. The hello request. Somewhere there's the hello response, and a bunch of other stuff that should be needed by gRPC. And then in the service gRPC we have the hello service base, which we'll use to implement the server component, and the hello service client, which we will use to make the requests to the server. So let's create here. Let's start with the server. I don't want this here, not needed. Create a new C# class. Hello service. This will not be dependency injection, nothing of the sort. This will be very simple, just so we can see this all working. So I'm going to hard code configurations and stuff like that. Don't be shocked with it. I'm also going to create here public and this will implement sometimes Visual Studio needs a reboot to recognize the generated files. Here it is. Okay. Not very helpful. Now we can get hello. This should return a task. We're missing this one. Okay, we have a response. In this case, we're just going to return one of these. With the message, hello world, such imagination. Okay, so this should be the implementation of our service, not very complex. And now we implement the abstraction we'll use to host the service. So basically I'm going for a GRPC server. No arguments because I'm going to hard code everything on the server. So here we're gonna pass two things: the services that will be hosted on this server, just this. I'm going for my cheat sheet to see what I'm missing here. So should be something like this. Find service, not here. I'm missing something. It is here. Is it wrong? Seems right. Don't tell me I need to restart Visual Studio again. I'll try. Nope, didn't work. I'll get back to this. So the parts where we define where we'll be listening. In this case, just listen on localhost. Port 1234, hard coded, like it should be, or not. And then server credentials, in this case insecure. That bind service is annoying me. Why is it like that? And now, just going to create some helper methods to start listening on the service. And another one to end it. No cancellation tokens, no nothing. This is just to work. I'm missing the async. Okay. The bind service still doesn't want to help, but it is here. I will just check. Maybe if I build this. Nope. This is very weird. Oh, that's why I'm an idiot. The wrong name, causing issues. Such an idiot. Server, now I have a bunch of errors for reasons I have no clue. I think this time is Visual Studio. That's not helping. Are we there yet? And now build. Will you help? Nice. Okay, so we have the server. Or at least the helper part of the server. Now create a client. Live coding. That's the result. We get these stupid bugs. So, to create a client, I'm going to create a method to initiate the client, so we can we can send multiple messages using the same client instead of always instantiating a new client. Send a message. Okay, using tasks. And finally, method to shut down the client. So we'll need for this a channel. From GRPC core. And we'll need the client that we saw in this file, client which we'll use to send the messages. In this case, this client here is just a helper to simplify the work on other parts. So we don't have to create all of this in more than one place. So we need a channel and include this. Okay. So to connect, just use the channel. Indicate the address. Again, hard coding. And the channel credentials, which are not very useful in this case, but and we get a new client. It gets a channel. So now to send a message, client get hello async, new hello request, which has no parameters, await this. Okay, so this is just sending the message. Very simple because we aren't doing anything with it. Okay, that's important to return the beautiful hello world string. Again, the service returns not a string but a message, so we must go get the string that we want. And finally, shut down. Okay, this should be for the client. We have the server. It's done. The library. So in this case we have a problem that I discovered earlier, that in .NET Core, in this version at least, it will be solved in 2.0, but in this version we can't add references to other local projects, or at least in the way I was doing it. So in this case I would need to create a NuGet package for this lib. I've already done that. So in my private repo I have this project as a NuGet package, so I can use it in the other projects. In this case, with this done, we go to the GRPC service. So we will implement the service, both a client and a server, just for testing, using this lib created. So this will be a console application. Okay. Now we'll need some packages. In this case we'll want basically this. Okay, the package that I pre-compiled, pre-generated and put on my private repo is added, so we can go to code. Oh, first store, now code. I have no idea why this always starts in a different window. Okay, program. Hello world as always. In this case, so just because it's better in this way. We have async code, so main async. This is the ugly part. Now this can do the rest. What? You're right. Args. Now you're happy. Okay. Now in the main async, we'll use the same application for client and server, so we'll receive an argument with this information. And yeah, I'm not going to use a library to create a parser for this. This is it's just gonna be hope for the best. So if we receive a server as an argument, this will be a server. If not, it will be a client. So when we have a server, we have our lib here. So we want an hello server. With no arguments because it's all hard coded as we saw. Hello server. Start listening. The usual listening because we want some feedback. And now with key, so we can stop the application. And finally shut down. Okay. This is the server. With the abstraction we created, this can be just that. And now the client. Hello client. Again, no arguments. Hammer time. We'll connect the client. In this example I'll just send a message, but in the benchmark I'll send multiple messages using the same client, so we have the connect method. Write line, write to the console the result of sending the message, just so you can see what the server said. And finally we can shut down the client as well. Okay, this should be it. If this works at the first time, I'll be impressed. Let's compile this in release, so when we use this in the benchmark is as optimized as possible. Seems okay. So I have prepared here a nice screen with a bunch of consoles. Okay, we're here. So I don't remember the order, but I guess it's something like this. running the server, hopefully. Okay, listening. And now let's see if the client connects, and it got hello world from the server. Okay, so we have the working server and client. Only the abstraction will be used in the benchmark. Okay, let's go back to the code. So back to our projects. We have implemented gRPC lib and gRPC service. Now for the REST service. In this case, I'm going to use just an ASP.NET Core application, an empty one. So it's here. Okay. Restoring the packages. Okay. So we have the basic as always. And I'm going to just use this. I'm not gonna add MVC or nothing. Just using the middleware, returning a string, hello world. I just missed the upper W on the library, but it will work. Okay. Let's check out if this is working. Okay, should be working. Let's check out Firefox. Okay, we have it working. Let's stop here. Now let's go here. So we have a gRPC service listening, and we can start the REST service as well. Okay, just a refresh. It's up. We have the logs here. Okay, so now to implement the benchmark. So the benchmark will be a console application as well. I'm going to use benchmark.net. So this easy application will be even easier because someone just made this awesome library. So use a console. We'll need the package. Let me copy the name from around here. Okay. Okay, it's done. Adding the gRPC lib package so we can use the hello client. Okay, it's done. Restore. And code. Okay, it went back to the other screen. Go figure. Okay, here's the program. I'll just create a new file here. Just because, and I'll call it okay. So using benchmark.net, we can just create a class with some methods that will be our benchmarks, and we mark them as benchmarks. So we'll use the attribute. This will test the REST API. Okay, imported the benchmark. So to test the REST API, we'll just use the usual HTTP client. Okay, and this test, I'm going for a 4. Create 100 requests. We can go more, go less. The benchmark.net is supposed to abstract these kind of things, but for this test, this should be good enough. As I said earlier, this will not be a very serious benchmark because we are basically comparing apples and oranges. These kinds of services are to be used in different scenarios. GRPC, I guess, won't be used to communicate. For example, with an Android application, will not use gRPC. It is best suited for communication within the boundaries of the server network. So get async in our local host 5000. So we'll make 100 requests. To the API. No route, no nothing. It will just return that string. Okay, another benchmark. Will be basically the same. Okay, not really. I can use the for, but I didn't implement iDisposable on the Hello client, so let's include this. Connect. That's why I created connect, so now we can send 100 messages without using the connect again. I can do client dot send message async. And shut down. Format the document, okay. Seems nice. Now in the program we just need to start the benchmark. I'll use default values for benchmark.net. Ideally I would configure it better for the specific case, but as this is just a simple test of seeing both services working, I'll just go use the default values. So we'll use benchmark runner dot run, and we tell it to use this class, and that should be it. Hopefully, if this works at first time again, it will be awesome. Just okay, it built well. Now let's go back to our multi-console in the benchmark here. So what this will do, we'll run that two methods we wrote here. This will send 100 messages, but both these methods will be invoked multiple times. I don't recall the number exactly, but it's all configurable on the benchmark.net library. I'll just use the defaults because in this context I don't need great certainty of the results, but it is recommended to set the values to what makes sense for what you're testing. So let's go to the console and start this. The gRPC service is running, the REST service is running. Let's try the benchmark. From the tests I made previously, I don't think this will make a lot of requests, but it's red, not good. Okay, but it's the solution. I didn't create a solution, I'm just using the projects. We can see in the logs from the REST service that it is receiving requests. On the gRPC service I didn't put any logs, so we can see anything. This shouldn't take long. I think the default values are not very large. Doesn't take long, but it takes a while. Maybe I'll just fast forward a bit of the video later. Okay, it's done. As expected, gRPC is faster, but like I said, this benchmark isn't to prove anything. It's just for the ride. Bad Gmail. Okay, so we can see the mean of the execution of 100 requests for gRPC is about 30 milliseconds and 150 milliseconds for the REST service. Of course, this depends on a lot of things, like what is my computer doing, and I didn't stop anything, so. But yeah, it just. The goal of the video was mostly to implement the services and check out these technologies, not very much focused on the benchmark part of the video. And that's it. Hopefully this will be useful for anyone. Feel free to leave some comments and some feedback if we have ideas for other videos and to improve. I know I have to improve my spoken English, but only with training that will do. Thanks for watching.